In order to build the voice of a data manager, you have to not be afraid to use it. Feel empowered to speak up, ask questions, be confident in what you know. If you haven't, take a day, go visit a research site. And I think having a little bit of empathy and see what it's like on the other side, because it is eye-opening.
How did you see SCDM evolve, and how do you see the CDM data space evolving? Welcome to the SCDM podcast series on partnership in clinical trials. Welcome to the SCDM podcast on partnership in clinical trials. Today we have Manny Vazquez from Veeva. So Manny, do you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
Sure. Well, first of all, Patrick, thank you for having me on. I'm really honored to be here. So my name is Manny Vazquez. I am a strategy director with Veeva, and I am 20 years in clinical data management. So most of my background has been in the clinical data management space. I did my early career at a small oncology biotech for 5 or 6 years. That's kind of when I originally heard of SCDM and started to pay my own way in terms of dues. They were, I think, only $80 or $90 back then for the year. And then in 2012, I moved into the CRO world. I joined RPS, which then was merged with PRA, became PRA Health Sciences, and then ultimately was acquired by Icon in 2021. And it was only after that, in early 22, where I moved over into the vendor space. And so I spent the last 3 years at Veeva, supporting them in their strategy for the clinical data tools that we build and provide to customers.
I know yourself and Veeva have been very active in supporting SCDM. So what does it mean to you to support SCDM, and what value are you getting out of your contribution to SCDM, Manny?
So I look at that two different ways, because one is personally, I've been involved with SCDM just on my own for a number of years, and have been involved in conferences and things since 2016. And I've always personally found it valuable to come and engage with the community and to have conversations with people, to learn, to share. And I've always found it really, really, engaging and enlightening just on a personal level to come and participate in these conferences and try and take away things that I can go bring back into whatever organization I was at the time, but also, in the experience that I would have, bring some of that back and try and contribute that back in the way of content. So that's how I would consider personally the give and take that I've had with SCDM over the years. But then for Veeva, in particular, as a corporate partner, obviously we get a ton of value out of partnering with SCDM. This ultimately is within the clinical data space. This is the community that we're here to serve. So we get a lot of value out of these conferences in having, again, conversations with people and learning about things that people are looking to do, and some of the innovations that people are hoping come about, so they can drive our industry and the overall research industry forward. And then we're able to take that back to talk to our product teams and our service teams and other folks internally to help dictate for us where we take the product, because ultimately we are serving customers and end users. And then again, we work with a lot of people. We talk with a lot of customers, and we work with a lot of different innovative implementations that people want to do, that then we can turn that around and bring that back in the way of content, because we also like to be engaged with the community from providing some of that feedback back and sharing some of that learning. So I think it's a really good give and take, and a mutual appreciation that we have for one another in the partnership.
Thank you, Manny. I think it's always a great collaboration with our corporate partners, and you have been supporting us tremendously. And I know in the last couple of years, the industry is evolving so much. I think we have tried at SCDM to support this evolution. So how did you see SCDM evolve, and how do you see the CDM data space evolving, Manny?
For SCDM, over the last 10 years, as I've had the opportunity to participate in the conferences, I've started to see some of that conversational evolution start from 2016, where things like EHR integrations and the kind of seeds of clinical data science and some of the other, maybe even the early beginnings of AI, see some of those conversations evolve over the years to the point where now we're getting sessions where people are presenting on, practical applications of EHR integration and practical use cases for AI and actual data science coming to fruition with, not just people becoming clinical data scientists, organizations rebranding themselves as clinical data science organizations and really embracing what that means and what that is, but also, as we know, the certification that is on its way, and really codifying what that is within the industry and putting a label on it. And so I think it's been really interesting to watch some of those conversations evolve over the last 10 years. And now it's really exciting to see where it's going, because as much as some of us in the technology space, we get frustrated with how prevalent AI is and how quickly people want to go, because, as much as we want to push that button and go with them, right? We need to invest in the baseline foundational tools first, right? We need to get the foundation set before we can really build complexity on top of it. So we're trying to be really pragmatic in how we go about these things, because we can't just jump on the treadmill going 100 miles an hour. We need to be able to both have a foundation that we can set this on top of, but also scale it at the same time. But we also don't want to lose focus of some of the other problems we're hoping to solve as well. There's plenty of things that have yet to be solved that we just kind of take for granted as this is the way we do it. So like queries and things like that. But it's still exciting seeing where we're going with the advent of AI. We mentioned quantum computing. Like who knows where, who knows where this goes? But it's a pretty exciting time with technology being as it is, and I'm here for it.
Thanks, Manny. Actually, it is indeed a very exciting time. I believe we're at a turning point in our industry. We know data has always been a strong currency, but with AI in general, AI is becoming even more crucial, and unbiased AI, ethical AI are very important topics. So maybe could you share, are you doing anything specific at Veeva around how to make AI positively impactful, ethical, unbiased? Any consideration you might have or you might want to share with the audience?
Sure. So I already alluded to the fact that when we start thinking about AI, we've been investing in kind of the framework for where we would like to go for a number of years now. And it's in the near future where we will really start to be able to build, like I said, build the complexity on top of the foundation. But we were we really wanted to make sure our house was in order before we really started to build things on top of it. So, for example, the two things that we were really focused on was, one, you need data to feed AI models, lots of it. So we needed a mechanism to bring all of that information into a single place in order to make it available for downstream AI tools. So hence we have our CDB product that recently came out a couple of years ago. And so now we have that, right? We can bring all of our data in, it's in one place. We can feed it out into whatever, downstream technology that someone wants to feed it out to. The second thing that we needed to be able to do was you need to scale that, and you need to be able to ingest that data on an ongoing basis. So we invested heavily in the last 2 years on what we call our study file format API, which is then able to take everything from CDB and all the data that you've collected and push it out on as frequently as every 15 minutes into downstream data sources to not only have all the data, but have a complete and concurrent data set constantly feeding information into whatever AI model, whatever AI tool or technology we decide to put on top of it. So now that we have the foundational data in place and we have the mechanism to feed that data at scale, now we are in a position where we can really start to look at what are the pragmatic use cases that we can start to put in place that will deliver short-term ROI. That's another thing that we're really passionate about, is we want to make sure that whatever tools that we put into practice and we bring to our customers is something that is going to deliver real return on investment, in the short term, not something that might pay off in the next 5 to 10 years. But I also mentioned that we don't want to lose sight of the things that we're already trying to solve. I mentioned queries, and you go across a company like Sanofi and all of your studies, and there's millions of queries across all of the studies, right?
Absolutely.
And so you consider how much time it takes a CRA or data manager to issue a query, and then a site to respond to the query, and all the keystrokes and mouse clicks that come along with that. And if you can just shave a fraction of that off, or even automate it, or put it down into a single click, like people take that thing for granted. It's just how the query mechanism works, but it doesn't have to. So maybe that's somewhere that we can provide some level of innovation on the site side, just the overall user experience to simplify some of those things. So those are also pieces that we want to make sure we maintain focus on, and not completely go full bore into, what the shiny things are in the future.
Talking about which, I see a lot of enthusiasm on focus on AI, but at the end of the day, we're here to treat patients, and we have a tendency to forget the patients. So maybe can you share your views on how to best position patients in the right place in our drug development ecosystem?
Yeah. Wow. I just came from a session on patient centricity, and I'm fully in on patient centricity. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think we also need to maintain focus on sites as well. And for a while, I would think of them as kind of the three legs of a stool. You have the sponsor, the site, the patient. They're the three primary stakeholders in a trial. And without one leg of that stool, it falls over, right? So it's not any one person centric. All three have to be kind of in collaboration. But I've kind of shifted some of that thinking a little bit into more of a seesaw, where the sponsor is on one side, but the patient and the site, they kind of come as a package deal, right? You don't get one without the other. And I think part of patient centricity and building and designing trials to be more patient-centric and to provide a better experience has to come with looking at the site experience and how the site's going to deliver that trial to patients as well. And when we talk decentralized technologies, we as sponsors or technology companies, we try to build the best experience that a patient might choose to, we want to have a choose your own adventure style. Sites have these same conversations, but they are talking about it in a different lens, where they are adopting a lot of these technologies on their own, or they have their own capabilities that they just need to be empowered to go out and use as a tool to deliver a study, whether or not the sponsor wants to provide a technology for it or not. And so I think it's not just patient optionality, but it's site optionality, giving sites the option to, if you have a home health nurse, or you have that, service at your site and you want to use that, then again, the session I just came from that was talking about, patients working or patients participating in trials. One of the things that was mentioned was the fact that sometimes, I think it was over 30% of patients report that it's really difficult to go to trial visits, and maybe they're driving an hour. Well, there are sites out there that this is what they do, and they have a passion for it, right? They will drive to them if they have if they're able to. If the sponsor in the protocol says they can, they will happily take the ride on behalf of the patient instead of the other way around. That is another way to make life easier on the patient, is to empower the site to deliver the trial to the patients in their community in the way that they feel is best.
And you're so right, Manny. I think we have a tendency to move the burden from the patient to the site, where they have the ability to support patients with their own technology services. As you mentioned, sometimes they can send their own nurses to the patient home instead of having us, the sponsor, sending or working with service provider. So I think we need to strike the balance between site, patients, to provide the best experience to all of the stakeholders. It's a very good point, Manny. So if you don't mind, I'd like to be a tiny bit more personal.
Sure.
So I know, looking at your LinkedIn profile, I noticed you're a certified clinical data manager. So through SCDM, you became a certified data manager. So why did you do it, and what does it mean to you?
I think for me, so I was certified in 2017, and I've maintained it ever since. For me, there's weight that comes with that credential. So I think it's worthwhile to have, right? It sets a benchmark for you as a data manager that says, I have met a specific mark. And particularly now, right, when I came over to Veeva and I'm working in a technology space as a vendor, and I'm having discussions with, prospective customers, current customers about strategies that they may want to consider when they're looking to, employ a new technology, that credential lends weight to what I have to say, because I'm not just someone who spent some time at a CRO and now I'm just coming and I can talk the talk, but perhaps I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm blowing smoke or whatever. I think that the credentials certainly means something. And so I thought it was worthwhile to go through the effort and this was at the time where you couldn't just, take the test online. I had to go to a testing center and I had to put all my stuff in a cubby and I had to go sit at a desk and take this exam. So it was certainly an effort to do, but Absolutely. It was totally worthwhile. And I think it provides, if you're in a service organization, it provides prospective customers. If you are, at a sponsor or, just a data manager, it's just lets the people within the organization, within the community know that you know what you're talking about. Absolutely. When we talk about elevating the voice of a data manager within the trial team, that credential carries with it. Like, I know what I'm talking about. And so when I sit at this table and I offer my opinion or offer my feedback, you need to listen. So I think there's weight that comes along with it. And I can't wait for CCDS to come along. I may need to level up.
Thanks, Manny. Maybe another personal question is, we're glad to have you join the SCDM board. So thank you for that. And we're very excited to have you in the board at SCDM. So what would you like to achieve through your board sponsorship?
Well, for one, I was really excited when that came through, and I appreciate anyone within the membership because it was a vote. So I appreciate the fact that folks out there felt enough to throw me a vote. I really appreciate it. As I said at the beginning, SCDM has done a lot for me in my career, and the people that I've been able to meet through SCDM, the networking and the connections that I've been able to make have been fantastic. The things that I've learned through SCDM and through the content that is delivered at these conferences have been invaluable to me. So it's an opportunity for me to, give back in a little bit deeper of a way than just coming back and delivering a session or doing a presentation or a panel. It's a way to really invest myself a little bit more into providing something back to the community that's given so much to me over the years. And specifically, I'm going to be starting to lead the ambassadors program, very new. So if I have an opportunity to plug it at some point, maybe I'll just do it right now. If anyone's out there who is interested in getting involved, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or I'm sure there will be a mechanism for it. But the ambassadors program is really in an effort to push SCDM out into the nooks and crannies geographically that we don't hit right now. Right, we have US, the single day events now in Latin America, China, Japan, India, and those are all wonderful. But we also need advocates out there in like the rural places of Midwest, the United States, or the Northwest of the United States, or someone who can be out there who is going to be our like geographically local SCDM, mouthpiece that can help spread the word, if you will. So very in its infancy, we're still deciding exactly how it's going to work and what the remit's going to be, but I'm really excited about it, and this will certainly be my project to drive over the next 3 years while I have the board seat. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope that some folks out there are able and willing to join me. It should be a good time.
Cool. Thanks, Manny, for participating in this podcast. But before I let you go, any last word of wisdom or advice to our SCDM community?
Well, I think at the root of that is, in order to build the voice of a data manager, you have to not be afraid to use it. So, feel empowered to like speak up, ask questions. There are no dumb questions. Know what you know, be confident in what you know. So when you go to speak to it, people can feel confident that what you're saying to them is true, that it's valued. A CCDM credential certainly helps when you have that conversation. And then I think the other thing I would say is, if you haven't, take a day, go visit a research site. Just spend a day, fly on the wall, watch what they do, and understand that all the tools and technology that we build that they have to utilize is 1/10 of their day, if that. And I think having a little bit of empathy for the person on the opposite side of the query thread can go a super long way into how people think about designing these tools and putting those things together. So definitely, if you haven't, if you have any impact or what you do has any relevance to a site and a coordinator, and they're going to have to be the end user for something that you're creating, just go for a day and talk to them and see what it's like on the other side, because it is eye-opening.
Most definitely. So thanks, Manny. It was a very insightful discussion.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us. Thanks, Manny.
Thank you.